Hey team, welcome back to another fantastic FPS Kelly video. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different, something a little more simple. My last video was pretty intense. It took me a long time to cut and edit it. Today, I thought I would just simplify things and do a really basic run through of playing Sova on Bind. Why Sova? Why Bind? First of all, I think Sova's great on Bind. I think he's a solid pick. I think he helps your team in a lot of different ways. And I think he's really slept on in the lower ranks. I think people are maybe intimidated by the complexity of Sova's kit. But today's video is all about breaking that down, simplifying it, giving you a bunch of really simple lineups. I don't even think you can call them lineups in some cases, that really simplify the role of Sova for low elo players or lower ranked players. And to just open up your mind into how Sova can be played, even at the higher ranks. I have been a Sova main for a long time, but I don't learn lineups. I honestly just don't have the time, can't be bothered. So today's video is basically about playing Sova without relying on any lineups. It's not like, oh, look at this fucking little leaf on the left here and then line up your electricity bolt to that left. Like, none of that crap, okay? I've been and done that. I'm sick of it. I don't like playing like the game like that. It's just not fun to me. So the first one here is, as you can see, the barriers have just dropped. If I do a full charge, 2 bounces off this little bit of the wall here. So this is like the inside of that wall. It used to be a lot easier to do this. They just shortened that wall. But basically, as soon as the barriers drop, if you do a full charge double bounce on a shock dart, it bounces all the way. And I'll show you exactly where it hits with I'll do it with a recon dart. So we're just, as you can see the door and then the wall, double bounce off the wall. It lands right on this corner here. And what that does, if you do a shock dart straight off the bat, if they're trying to take some shower control, they're going to rush in, the shock dart's going to bounce and just do some chip damage right there. You can also shoot a sonar dart or a recon dart in the same location, and what I like to do is you can either do the same lineup, so double bounce just to clear that corner. If you're swinging and peeking, it'll expose enemies, or at the least distract them so they have to shoot the recon dart. And if they start learning it and shooting it, just do a one bounce just to bounce it off that back wall, so they have to now do like a 180 and turn around. So that's a pretty solid dart for taking shower control. The next one is short. So a little thing to be aware of with Sova is you don't want to die early in the round. So you want like your Reyna or your Phoenix, someone with a flash or smokes to go down before you dry peek this. So dry peeking means you're peeking without using any abilities. You don't want to be the first person out here, and you don't want to dry peek it. Basically, because you could get shot from this angle, you could get shot from this angle, you could get shot from this angle. You don't want any of that to happen, because your recon dart is really useful in taking control of short. This is short. There's 3 different darts I'll show you today. So one is just peek this corner as close to the corner of this wall as you want, but just like on the edge there. Simple dart, and what that does is that clears most of this area. It clears close, it clears this area, and it even clears some of the back of the site and some over there. So it's just like a very broad dart that the enemies will probably have to shoot, or they'll get exposed if they're holding aggressive angles. A variation of that dart is just if they're holding, for example, if they're typically playing in this cubby here, that dart doesn't quite clear the cubby, but you can just do a simple bounce off the wall here, and now you've got a dart that clears all of like similar angles, just less of showers, but does clear that cubby. And then a variation on that is if they're not holding close, if they're playing super defensive behind smokes back of sight, you can just chuck a dart at the back of sight there. Simple stuff, and that's what today's video is all about. You can also, if they're playing close, just bounce some shock darts off here to clear these close angles. So the only lineup I will show you is this one on long. So what I like to do when I'm taking long control is basically and this is as lineup-y as it gets, I promise. So I line up this poster here, this like left side of this poster, and just like broadly with the middle of this fountain. So, and then I just line it, like aim at this blue line, full charge, 1 bounce, and that bounces off and it sits just inside of garden here, or just on here. And that just clears all of this. The good thing about this dart is that you're not exposed at all. You're not exposing yourself to a fight. You don't need a flash or a smoke to take this space at all. You can just run up here as soon as the barriers drop. You can do it from any distance. You can do it as like loosely as you want. And yeah, helps your team take long. One little variation on this is where it gets a little tricky or a little line-up-y, but if you want to like pull your mouse just to the left a little bit, you can find an angle where it bounces all the way into sight from here. That one's not like as useful. Maybe if they are typically not fighting for long control at all and not playing garden, you could just do that one off the bat as your teammates maybe push into Hookah just to help them take some more control. Another little one here is just like under this window. I basically just line my gloves up with like the top of the buildings. You don't have to be accurate at all, and then just one bar charge off there, and it fires all the way over into sight and lands on that back wall. You can learn that one, but honestly, this one here is just as good. No lineup required. So basically, you can just peek this angle here with a teammate and fire off a dart full charge at the back of sight. And I say you can peek that because it's very unlikely a player is going to be holding this angle, especially once your teammates are with you and you're pushed up into long. They're typically going to be holding this angle or these angles over here, or maybe this angle. So like pushing up to here and just firing off a dart is relatively simple. If you can push into long and you still have your dart, there's a few darts you can do here to help your team. A good one is just straight off this right here. Kind of clears out elbow, clears out sight, clears out front of sight, clears out the cubby. Another one, if you want to clear out like deep elbow, is just to like bounce it off the wall there and clear out deep elbow. That's about it for taking long control. The last one I'll show you is Hookah. I thought long and hard about this, and I really don't recommend using a dart for taking Hookah control. There are lineups, I know some nerdy lineups for taking, getting a dart into Hookah through the roof. It's honestly not needed. I think the risk here is that there is so many nooks and crannies inside Hookah where players can just simply hide from a dart and still like hold an aggressive angle. There's just too many places where they can hide. So I think using a dart in Hookah is a little bit of a waste, and it also gives you a false sense of security because it looks like it clears out the area, but they could be holding all these cheeky angles. So a drone is much better. Drone in, look down, take some space, get your teammates to follow your drone in, easy. Once you get into Hookah, there's just a few darts you can do from a really safe place. So this one, just straight off the bat there, you're not being exposed to any angles, just getting a dart in as your teammates start to push. If they're typically maybe like holding close angles or something, you can always just do this dart off the top here. Just clears under Hookah. And another really good one is just like off the top of this. If you can get a dart on the top of this tube, basically it just clears out these cheeky angles here. So it just clears out the sight, and if an enemy is holding kind of in front of this line, they will have to shoot that dart. There you have it. I hope that simplifies Sova for you, makes him a little more approachable without relying on or being intimidated by the complexity of his lineups, and opens up a new agent for you to play. I think Sova is incredibly valuable when your team are pushing sites, just to create that little bit of chaos and confusion. As you move up the ranks, players are more and more likely to be distracted by your darts and want and need to shoot them. At lower ranks, it just gives your teammates wall hacks. They can see through smokes. It clears angles, you know? But good luck, have fun out there, and I will see you in the next video.